How's it going, everybody? So today we're going to do a little bit different video than I normally do on this channel. Something that I get asked about, and so does my girlfriend as well. So this is my girlfriend. Her name is Maddie. We've been together for almost 8 years now, right?
8 years now.
Yeah. So she's been together. We've been together pretty much as long as I've been bodybuilding. I've been bodybuilding for it's going to be 14 years. So I was bodybuilding long before I met her, but she definitely had to adapt to my lifestyle as we, grew together and moved in together and lived together and all that stuff. She definitely had an idea what she was getting into, but there's definitely different dynamics that, that you have to be aware of when walking into a relationship with someone who is maybe a competitive athlete, and specifically bodybuilding, because bodybuilding just takes so much time and effort and can be stressful in a lot of ways on a relationship. Now, I see a lot of people talk about bodybuilding like, oh, you can't be successful and be in a relationship. You need to have a partner who, cooks for you or does that other stuff. You need to have a partner who's a competitor. You need to have a partner who's not a competitor. I've heard all of it. I think it comes down to a few things that make us successful as a couple. One is communication. So for example, if I'm in a contest prep and I'm feeling tired, or I am emotional due to the fact that I have low food availability, low energy, just communicating that is something that helps a lot. And, there's other things too. I think, I made sure Maddie was aware what she was getting herself into when she started dating me. I basically told her, hey, this is my lifestyle. And if you want to date me or be with me, then these are some things that we have to be on the same page about. And that's something that, I think a lot of people do miss. Like, there's still people who try to cover up if they use performance-enhancing drugs from their significant other, which is just, already a bad sign. Like, if you look at actual relationship dynamics, lying is not a great thing, having poor communication, all those things, they tend to lead to poor outcomes in relationships. So anyway, we're going to talk a little bit about our relationship dynamic, kind of how we function together. And then we also have some questions that people submitted. So what do we want to talk about first? I guess we'll start with, we met in high school. It was shortly before my first show. So I was, it was 2015. So we were both 18. This is when I planned on doing my first show. We met at high school. We actually worked together at Target as well. I pushed carts and she was a cashier. And she made pizzas at the Pizza Hut. Anyway, so we started dating around that time. She was with me for my first show. I actually moved to LA to kind of pursue bodybuilding. So we did long distance for a while after that.
Technically, I wasn't there.
What do you mean?
I was in Italy.
You were, well, that's
I went to the show, but it was the day after I got back.
Yeah.
So I didn't actually experience prep Dylan.
Well, it was 2 weeks. It was not that long.
But it was the last 2 weeks.
Yeah. It wasn't bad. I mean, even in that prep, I feel like I didn't really get to experience prep because the coach that I was working with didn't bring me in the way I wanted to. I wanted to be much leaner, so it probably didn't even really get bad very much at all. I don't really remember being too emotional or something like that. Yeah. I mean, I think we had some challenges in my second prep. I actually had a coach who over-dieted me and overtrained me, and my physical energy was very low. I remember we had just this dog, Luca, at the time, and I remember coming home and he'd freak out and get excited.
You'd be like, oh my God, Dad's home, and you'd just be like,
yeah, I just didn't want to interact with anybody, and I'm sure I was definitely more emotional then. And it took a lot on her part to try to understand what I was going through because I wasn't great at communication then. That's one thing we've definitely grown as adults together. It's just an interesting dynamic for our relationship because we've been together for so long.
So long and so young.
Yeah. So I mean, you see that presenting problems for people as they age. If they are with someone that they're happy with, a lot of the time they struggle with growing up, and certain aspects of that make the relationship dynamic, harder. But it's something that we have luckily been mature enough to be able to handle throughout all this. Otherwise, we probably wouldn't be sitting here today.
Yeah, we talk a lot.
Yeah.
Anytime there's anything.
Yeah. and I think it takes a certain sense of self-awareness. So like if we are ever having any trouble, being able to identify, like if I'm in a bad mood and I'm snappy, like being able to reflect on that and say, why was I that way? And then maybe even apologizing and admitting fault, admitting when you're wrong. It takes removing your ego out of it to be able to be in a successful relationship. And I guess what are some things that maybe I do that are potentially difficult to deal with?
Are you asking me what I think?
Yeah, maybe. I mean,
the other day I asked him what his icks were about me, and he was like, "I don't know anything." And I was like, "Let me start." No, there's not really anything that's like a deal breaker, obviously, because I'm still here, but I mean, I don't know, I feel like there's things that you used to do that were more bothersome than anything that you do now. I don't really think you do anything now as much that's like anything that's the things that bothered me a while ago were like when you would eat in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
In bed. I'd wake up with like family full volume and like you.
Yeah, I mean that was a lot of problems.
Face right next to
and that was a problem with like mismanaged sleep hygiene, right? And that was also a problem with the coach I
were able to just like go back to bed after that.
I was chronically tired. So the coach that I had was working with me, the same coach that prepped me when I had a really bad prep, and that also affected our relationship negatively. But at the time, he didn't understand like food palatability. He didn't understand food volume and relationship to satiety.
Irritable and just like
because it was just everything was just harder. Like I was
like functioning as a human. You like barely could get up to pee half the time.
Well, that was in prep, but I had sleep apnea. I was having trouble getting my food down because he was having me eat like specific weird foods that are bodybuilder foods, and I would basically get my meals pushed back into the nighttime to where I'd have to set an alarm, wake up, and eat. And I was having trouble eating. It's just funny because now I understand like food palatability. I understand like lowering the density of my food. I never have trouble getting any food down ever. I go to bed on time. Like none of that stuff's wrong. So that was definitely a problem from some other stuff in my from a coaching experience that were affecting my relationship. And I think that speaks to not making things harder than they need to be, because obviously it was affecting other areas of my life, my relationship, my daily energy, all that other stuff. So making sure that you're trying to optimize those things and addressing those things. Like it's not normal to not get enough sleep. It's not normal to be tired all day. It's not normal to be irritable all day.
Yeah, and we also go out more.
Yeah, that's another thing. From my level of education, understanding food.
We used to like not be able to go out to eat ever.
Yeah. Well, exactly, because I used to have an inflexible mindset. I was used to meal plans and thinking that certain foods,
like we might go to Chipotle.
Yeah, and I had this dichotomous view of food, like foods are good or bad, which allowed me to not go out to eat, even in an off-season setting.
Yeah.
I had a hardcore coach that would scold me if I did that stuff too. So it was like a lot of that stuff negatively affected my relationships, and not only just my relationship with her, but my family, with friends. All of those stuff. I wouldn't go out.
Like your birthday, and you'd be like, I don't want to go out and eat. I'd be like, but it's your birthday. Like we can't just do something for your birthday. Yeah,
definitely. I thought that was, I thought that was like the, that was like the hardcore body mentality that was instilled in me.
Yeah.
Which is funny because now I do this and I think I have better progress in spite of that bullshit because one, I'm less stressed about where my food's coming from.
Actually sleep at night, which is
So, I mean, definitely things that are abnormal. Like I don't think that those are normal behaviors even for. Well, we're an apnea task. No, but I mean, I've had people tell me that they have trouble because they snore really loud, and that affects
Yeah, I don't feel like your snoring ever really like woke me up. Once in a while, you do this like jerky thing when you like wake up because you couldn't breathe.
Oh yeah. Because especially when I sit on my back, if I'm on my side, it's usually nothing.
No, but you generally are a side sleeper.
So, any other challenges that we've presented? Like I mentioned, like communication is a big key here, and
I feel like that's something that we've like been good about since the beginning. Like we definitely have gotten better at it, but I feel like that's something that like an open line of communication has always been a thing that we've been very like on each other.
And here's something. So you used to worry more about my health, but
as I've learned more with you, learning more.
Right. But that's something that I proactively addressed and something that I always keep her in the loop about. Like I think some people one, they don't address their health and they just kind of keep it kind of out of sight, out of mind kind of thing. But I, collect blood
like
tests.
you going and getting your blood work
done,
getting scans done, and coming back and being like, look, everything's good. It's
100%.
Not just reassuring for you, it's reassuring for me.
Yeah, most definitely. I think keeping her in the loop about health testing, keeping her in the loop about what's going on with my health. Like if I get a blood test, I tell her like, hey, there's the things that were off. Not that she always understands. Even if I generally try to explain to her like, this is what this means. This is what this is. I mean, that came from me educating myself.
Dumb lady brain sometimes doesn't understand.
No, I just don't expect you to be able to read a comprehensive blood work panel.
Oh yes.
No. I mean, like certain markers and stuff like that. So I mean, I'll explain to her like what markers, what they mean. This is what was high. This is kind of what it could mean. And then this is what I'm doing to address it. And I think that's created reassurance for her because it's not that if something's out of range or a problem, I address it with medication, with the proper intervention. And then she's in the loop. She doesn't think that, I'm in poor health or has assumptions about poor health because what she hears on the media about bodybuilders or whatever. She knows where my health's at.
Sally.
Yeah, no, about that. But there's been bodybuilders that pass.
That's the most recent thing that
I think. There's been bodybuilders that pass, and then you're like, oh, I'm worried about you that happening to you, and it's like.
Well, I used to worry about you choking and dying on your food.
Yeah.
All the time. I still think about that once in a while. Like when you cough really hard, I'm like, this is it. Here you go.
Yeah. But it was like, I was worried about it too, and then I proactively did things to monitor my health and make sure that I was in good health so that I can continue forward in a healthy manner. It's something that you that's another thing is like people will say, I guess is a good transition, is people will say bodybuilding's selfish. And bodybuilding's only selfish if you make it selfish. Like I try to include her in anything that I'm doing.
Also, too, I feel like part of being in your early 20s is being selfish.
Yeah. We allow a certain amount of selfishness from. And
we focused on school and shit that I gotta get done. It's not any different than you being focused on bodybuilding and trying to get the things done that you're trying to get done.
Right. Well, and I think some people maybe see.
There's a baby spiders to feed every day.
Yeah.
Shit going.
Exactly, and I think that we both are on the same page about being a little more selfish with our careers. And that's probably why we haven't chosen.
We've talked about if I got a career opportunity in another state, I would go.
Yeah, 100%.
It's like that's not something that we've ever
especially being as young as we are.
Some sort of state or something.
We don't want to limit each other's opportunities to be able to grow.
We don't have
trip-wise. Yeah, and that's another reason why we didn't get married either.
Yeah,
was just that we wanted to make sure that we were established in our careers before we made such a big life decision.
Yeah,
I feel like
it's just life decision. It's a whole thing.
Yeah, cost is also a thing that we consider. Like we could elope, but also just the financials of an actual wedding are something that we just don't see viable.
And also too, for a long time, it was also partially just because health insurance. We were both under our parents.
Yeah, and
not worth it to.
And also, we made other financial decisions like purchasing a home and doing other things that we thought would set us up for our future.
And you don't have to be married to do any of that stuff.
100%. So, and it's just because that's what we decided was a pretty broad relationship through communication. But so I think it doesn't have to be selfish. It takes up a good amount of your time, but it is my job, right? So, and I need to be able to distinguish between my job and between my relationship. And sometimes there's a little bit of a push and pull, but again, that's just communication. Hey, I know I haven't been making time for us lately. Let's try to make that time for us now, or having designated times to spend time together. Exactly.
Tuesday nights are date night.
Yeah.
Guess what day it is today? It's a Tuesday.
But making sure we at least do something together, or including each other in each other's lives, whatever way. Hey, I'm going to the store.
Making a point to exist together instead of separately in the same house.
Yeah, absolutely. So we had some questions that were asked as well.
What's it like living still?
Any comments on that?
He's large and makes it known. He's very loud when he walks up the stairs. He takes up the entirety of the bed. And then we have 2 dogs in that bed also. There's no room in the fridge for me. Anything that I want to have in the fridge. If I take home a doggy bag from a restaurant, he will eat it.
Yeah, you don't eat it anyway, so let's sit.
It's gotta marinate in our fridge first.
So I throw it out, it's moldy, so I just eat.
So forget it.
Yeah, I don't think I'm. It's funny because I'm not I try to be aware, but also like, I'm not particularly like, I don't view myself as a large person. Like I just view myself as Dylan. Like I kind of have separated myself from bodybuilder.
I mean, like you're physically large, but you're also just like a large presence in general.
Yeah, but I don't think like physically large.
I can hear you chew from like 200 feet away.
Yeah, I think that doesn't really have to do with my size. It's just how I chew.
I know.
Yeah, I'm not really aware of like being larger or anything like that. Like just who I am, right? You live in your own body, right? So you don't really like notice these things, especially as I've grown over the years. Like it's not really like something like if someone like says something about being muscular in public, I don't really like always recognize that. Like I'm like, oh yeah, like I do this thing that changes my physical appearance. Yeah, it's like I do this thing that changes my physical appearance, and then people notice it. I don't really, I don't think of myself as any different. I have clothes that fit, and
well, you've also like grown into it. It's one of those things where it's like, it's not like it happened overnight.
Yeah, definitely. Biggest pet peeve about his bodybuilding lifestyle, maybe. CPAP machine.
It's like I don't know, just I guess. I mean, really, the biggest pet peeve is just that it carries into everything. There is no such thing as just like going on vacation or just having breakfast. It's like it affects everything. And I would say that like my biggest like pet peeve about it is just that it seeps into every single aspect of your life. It's not something that you can just like, you can't just leave the office. There is no office. Your body is the office. So it's one of those things that just, it's one of those things that just like, I'm sorry. Fuck. I don't know, like going on vacation, it's like, we say we're gonna leave at 10, we don't end up leaving until noon because you have to pack 12 different meals and like your entire life into a cooler.
Yeah. I mean, I would say that's something that has gotten better over time. And I've been able to shut off during vacation. I've been purposely trying to travel lighter.
Vacation. I mean, just like the process of preparing for anything. It's like way more complicated of a process for you than it is for me. It's like me, it takes me an hour to put a face on and like pick out a cute outfit.
Right.
But for you, it's like
I think that preparation.
Okay, how long are we gonna be gone?
Yeah.
Like
this is something that's interesting because like
spring with me
this is something that's interesting because I think bodybuilders, like people who are neurotic, kind of self-select bodybuilding, right? And I think that I generally have an idea I generally have learned that I tend to like have control over things, and so it's been a challenge. It's been a challenge for me to be able to just go. You know what I mean? Like, and even if I know, like,
you've gotten a lot better at it.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's definitely used to be.
That comes with education and educating myself on that and doing that properly.
You used to get so anxious about doing anything. Like, I mean, if I asked you, just like, hey, like, can we go to the grocery? Like, do you want to go to the grocery store?
Yeah. That also
like, I can't because I gotta do this and I gotta do that and like I have to eat and blah blah blah, and I was just like,
and that also comes to my own personal anxiety. I have an issue of like wanting to be productive all the time, so if I waste my time and then you're like, oh, let's go do something, I'm like, no, I need to like, it's almost like punishing myself for not being productive. Is like
you'd literally rather sit in your house and do nothing than go.
Well, it's just like
perceive as not being productive.
Well, yeah, and it's like though it's weird how the anxiety functions because it's like it's so it's not it's that I want to try to be productive, and if I'm not doing that productive activity or making effort to do it, then I'm anxious doing something else. That's something that I've had to deal with, and that came from
anxiety than just bodybuilding.
But I think it kind of bled into bodybuilding, right?
I was gonna say
but I've definitely gotten better at that over time, and I try to actively make sure that I have planned off periods when I go on vacation. I try to pack lighter when I can, just so I know we're going somewhere with access to groceries and stuff like that. Part of it also comes with like my health preparation. Like I also just want to be healthy. So there's lots of like things that I do in order to that, making sure that I have certain medications and supplements that come with me, and also just maintaining somewhat of a routine. Like again, that could tie into my anxiety, but it's something that I actively try to do better over time. And again, I'm not perfect, but I try to make an effort. I try to hear her when she says that I'm doing something, because I think that it's always good to get feedback from other people, especially people you trust, as far as like, hey, you're doing this, or hey, like maybe this is something that you don't notice on a daily basis. So yeah, it's definitely something that is a work in progress that I'm getting better at. Is sex difficult?
Because I don't do any work.
I think that it's difficult in either phase, because if I'm heavy, then I get out of breath easily. And if I'm light, I'm just exhausted.
Sweat until you can't.
Well, that's no. I mean, I don't sweat as much anymore because I'm not super hot.
Definitely not.
But I would say that
as long as your waist is small, nothing ever gets more difficult for me. So
yeah. Oh yeah, and I also have this thing where I go hypo after a certain amount of time. It happens when I'm dieting. Fat scanning. So like I'll not to get too into details, but at a certain point I might start going hypo, and then I'll start cold sweating.
My sugar's dropping.
Yeah. So, that's definitely a challenge. That's probably induced from the bodybuilding lifestyle. Like my body's used to getting glucose in food at certain times, and then
I'm used to that being me.
Yeah, if I don't, then I go low in blood sugar and experience symptoms. Yeah, that doesn't really have too much an issue. I don't think. I mean, maybe I'm not at the size that it has any difficulty. Otherwise, just like general like conditioning and body mass.
Yeah, I was gonna say I feel like it would more so have to do with like conditioning.
Yeah, but I mean, heavier body weights do just.
Yeah.
Like conditioning, but also like how much effort as a dude you're willing to put in, because there's plenty of dudes that are just not willing to put in any effort. So
yeah. Sleeping is another one I could address. It's not particularly difficult. Like I think like anybody.
Sleeping together?
No, just like me actually sleeping. Just like I don't think I have to actually put like a lot of effort into it. I do have to be in a particular position, but I think a lot of people have that problem too.
Yeah, your particular position was starfish for a while.
I know that like but I always have to have a pillow between my thighs because my thighs will crush my genitals if I don't.
And Will gets mad because I have one too many pillows on my side. He's like, you need to give me a pillow. Okay, I'm using the pillow.
Like 3, I need one in between my thighs, like a big one.
No, you need 4.
You need 4?
Yes, you do. We do this every night.
No, I mean...
I have 6 pillows on the bed. I get 2 and you get 4.
No.
Because you sleep with 2 under your head, 1 in between your arms, and between your legs.
I sleep with 1 under my head.
No, you don't.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you right now, you have 2 underneath your head.
I'll look at the bed.
Oh, you go look at the bed. I make it.
Who's gaslighting who?
Girls only tell the truth. Haven't you ever heard about that?
Sure.
We don't lie. It's
You're right.
impossible.
You're right.
I know I'm right.
Do you get jealous that he trains females?
No, that's a stupid question.
Yes. Like.
Yes, I do.
What? No, I think yes. I don't think it's a stupid question because I think a lot of people are genuinely curious.
No, I feel like people. If your husband was a doctor, would you be jealous that he had female patients? It's literally not any different.
Yeah, simply professional relationships. Like I would never view a client in that way. You know what I mean? I would never I maintain being professional when I'm interacting with clients.
Yeah.
And
I feel like the reason why people ask about it, that specifically, is because 1, you're either training them online and they're sending you progress photos, which are essentially like a sports bra and like shorts.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But it's not. His job is to be objective and look at this and go, okay, has this person changed between photo A and photo B? Like, it's not.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like you definitely, like, as a person with a job, have to be able to, like, separate yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And
with any job, like, any job that you have to, like.
Yeah, it's simply just turning on work mode and being like, okay, like what is this? What are these progress photos show? What adjustments need to be made? And I think if someone had trouble distinguishing those two, then they probably shouldn't be a coach. Yeah, absolutely.
Not the client.
And then if your significant other is jealous of that, then that needs to be addressed on a communication front. And generally speaking,
I just feel like jealousy just is gross.
If you don't trust,
root of insecurity.
Yeah, insecurity and distrust, right?
Yeah,
So,
and it's like either you're placing trauma from previous relationships on a current relationship that doesn't deserve it, or this person has previously traumatized you and you're continuing to be with them anyways.
Yeah.
So in both situations, you're doing yourself and then nothing good.
So I say if that's a problem, then that needs to be addressed.
You need to go to therapy.
Yeah, it needs to be addressed on addressing trust and your own security with yourself and your partner. Would Maddie ever compete?
I thought about it. They did pretty hot. But I also really like pasta.
You can have pasta on your appetite.
Could I have pasta on my birthday?
Yeah, you don't have an appetite either, so you can have.
That's true. But that's also part of the problem, is that I have literally zero appetite.
Yeah, then you would just eat fucking good food all the way through.
No, but like cooking and stuff would be so
No, you just have to eat.
I can't get that big. Dude, I eat like barely 1,000 calories a day.
Yeah, but if you
'Cause I
you
just
know
don't-
when you exercise, your appetite gets ramped up.
Yeah, but I can't eat that.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think.
How about it in like the I guess like fantasized way, but not like in an actual like I could put A and B together and do the thing.
Yeah, you never know. Things change over time.
I wouldn't take it off the table completely. It's something that I've considered, but never actually like put a plan forth.
Yeah. It would be a really fun experiment for me
Yeah.
because like I would love to, be able to coach someone I work or I live with, right? And navigate
Actually see on a daily basis.
and navigate that relationship dynamic because
I
like
don't even have to send you pictures of my food. You just see it.
yeah. But also, there are definitely ways you need to keep that separate. Like I think John Jewett trains his wife, and he has her still send him checking.
I could definitely see how that could cause some tips for sure.
Yeah, but I think also
because I hate when you tell me what to do. Just
Right.
like
but I would basically only do that in an exclusive coach-client relationship way, right?
yeah.
Also,
like literally, you would have to email me.
yeah, and that's totally fine. And I think also too, the way I coach is through empathy too. So like I don't scold clients, right? Like my clients are adults; they don't need to be like scolded like children. Like
Well, yeah.
I just say, hey.
Like think about any teacher that you've ever had.
Yeah.
The best teachers were the ones that saw you as a person.
Yeah,
not
I
as a
respect
thing
them.
or a student.
You try to understand where they're coming from. So approach the situation with empathy. Why would someone screw up on their diet? Why is someone having trouble?
So Mrs. Rottenborn.
Yeah. Why is someone having trouble on their diet? Why would somebody be, what challenge is being presented? And a lot of the time, it's funny because a lot of coaches fail to understand that it might actually be something they did wrong. So what potentially could I do to better tailor my program to the individual? Now, if someone's putting in pure lack of effort, that's a different story. But again, I think that just through empathy and understanding, that would cause less of a rift between us because I wouldn't ever scold you. I would say, why are you having challenges? And then try to understand and navigate that with her.
Empathize and understand.
Yeah.
Like, okay, well,
If I were to be like, you can't do this or you can't do that, then I think it could cause problems. But that also comes from maybe having a more controlling nature, not myself, but maybe other people.
yeah.
When's the wedding? We already addressed that. It's probably for both of our careers are established. We kind of have these.
I just want to freaking graduate college.
She wants to graduate college. I want to get my pro card. They're just two milestones that we wanted to take care of before we made that move in our life.
Yeah.
And we're probably simple.
So before that, if
Yeah.
it's out of convenience, because I do know that I get cheaper.
Yeah.
Stuff. I get
Yeah, and it might have some tax advantages too. But and I imagine we'd make the same milestone if we ever decided to have children, which is not something that we've decided upon that we even ever want to do.
I'm not pushing anything.
Yeah, exactly. So, we will navigate that in a way in which we set, boundaries because we have this thing where we see other people do it too early and then it causes problems for them progressing their career and other things like that. So we personally would like to wait on those things and make sure that we're in a good place emotionally, mentally, financially, successfully as far as our business and our careers. So it's definitely something that we want to do, but it's not our first priority because, again, we've mentioned that we're younger. We want to focus on.
Well, not to mention, like, as far as we're concerned, like, it's really just a piece of paper.
Yeah, absolutely.
At the end of the day, like, how committed you are to each other is completely dependent on your relationship. It has nothing to do with whether you're married or not.
Exactly.
There's plenty of people that are married and
and
don't even like each other. Like, it's like.
And there's plenty of people who rush into that to try to either prove something or imagine that it's going to
like
fix
each other or think that it's going to fix
the relationship when they don't. Yeah, exactly.
Doing this for almost 8 years. I'm pretty sure.
And I think that level of understanding is why we haven't decided to do it yet.
Yeah. Well, also why it's not a point of contention for us.
Yeah.
Because we both have an opinion on it.
It's funny because it seems to concern other people more than it does us.
If I had $1 for every time someone was like, "Well, why aren't you getting married?"
Yeah, we almost want to not get married out of spite at this point.
At this point, I'm like, let's just not ever get married.
Yeah.
Just because fuck everybody.
Is it difficult to manage the relationship in bodybuilding? From my perspective, no. It takes effort like it would any job that I would ever do. I treat it as a job. I try not to let it
honestly,
merge
if you were a doctor, it would be even harder.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, not to mention now...
Most people that have jobs where they're away from home for like 48 hours at a time, like firefighters and stuff, oh my god, I hate you way more than I do right now.
Yeah, not to mention... what the fuck was I going to say? Oh yeah, no, not to mention I fucking work from home now. So
yeah.
I leave the gym for like I leave for the gym like 2 hours a day. I rent out my car, so I don't even have my own car half the time. Like, I'm literally just home with the dogs.
It's actually just my personal slave.
Yeah, exactly. Well, not really, but yeah. So it's like I've tailored my lifestyle in this way, right? So I try to be able to, you know, I've set it up in a way in which I can manage both, and I can imagine, you know, if someone has a 9 to 5 and then they go work out for a few hours, it still just makes you have to make time for that. I know people who make it work. If you go, you know, to your 9 to 5, you go to the gym for a few hours, and then you come home and ignore your spouse, then that definitely can cause problems, you know? Why spiders?
Why not spiders?
Well, if you are not aware, my girlfriend has 13 tarantulas right now.
I don't know. There's like 12-ish tarantulas. And there's 12-ish tarantulas. 12 or 13. I can't remember. If you can hear her licking in that microphone, I'm gonna die. Great. 12-ish tarantulas, 4 adult jumping spiders, and like 300-ish baby jumping spiders, slings. Because I had bought 2 girls that were wild caught, didn't know that they were gravid or pregnant, and they had babies. And if you don't know how spiders work, they will lay 1 egg sac, and then they will continue to lay fertile egg sacs repeatedly after they've paired with a male once. So it's like if you got pregnant from one dude, and then you just kept having babies. It's awful. But they enjoy it, and I enjoy it.
But why spiders?
I was really scared of them for basically my whole life. I remember I did a project on, it was like Brazilian wandering spiders or something when I was in middle school. I did a whole project on spiders and how they're like actually harmless and blah, blah, blah. And so I knew that they were harmless, and I've always wanted to not be scared of them, but there's just that like primal fear of like, oh my god, there's an 8-legged thing that's trying to be in my house or whatever. I don't know. I just was scared of it for a really long time. And then I found some YouTubers that I really liked that were posting about them. And then I started watching a bunch of YouTube videos, and I kind of got sucked in. And then I bought a jumping spider on the internet from the Bug Plug. And almost. And then, yeah, her name's Clementine. She was my first spider. And I still have her.
Yeah, it's funny because people ask me, how do I do it? And
the same way that I deal with your bodybuilding.
Yeah, it's like...
It's not different.
No, really, and it's like I just don't care. And I also, like, have always been the person to encourage people, and specifically Maddie, to engage with her interests and just not be judgmental on what it is, right? Just do what you enjoy doing, because that's something I've always done, and I've made a lot of sacrifices to be able to do what I love as a career, right? And some people, it takes time for them to do that, and it takes them to do repeated things. And this took understanding for myself because, you know, I found something that I loved really, really young, right? And, other people, it takes them time, right?
Changes every
Yeah.
2 years.
But to be able to not judge yourself for it, and then also not judge other people for that as well, right? And understand it takes people different amounts of time. I mean, we're still young. We still have a long time ahead of us. Like, even if it was 50 and she was still exploring new interests, I think it would be really good for me to still encourage that, because it ultimately helps her to be happier and more fulfilled with her life.
A lot of my friends are still going to be alive.
Yeah, I don't really care either. That is not a concern to me.
Asking if it was a concern. I just think it's cool. I think it's neat that they live for like 35 years.
Yeah, it's cool. Statements. Communicate.
Yeah, fucking talk to each other.
Yeah.
That's literally all it takes. Like, just
Really. Well, and also deal with yourself. Relationship happiness is predicted more on the happiness of the individual in the relationship and not your partner. So if you're not happy, deal with why you're not happy first, and then you are more likely to be happy in your relationship. And that is data talking, not just what I feel.
it's that whole, like, if you can't be happy on your own, you'll be happy with
Legitimately proven by scientific research. So yeah, deal with that. Communicate. Try to not be balanced, but if you understand you're pulling in one direction, then make time for each other and communicate that to your partner. Yeah, and get 2 small dogs.
Get 2 small dogs.
Provide
Makes you look bigger.
happiness.
Yeah.
All right.
Honestly, the more spiders you have, the more happy you are. I adopted like 3 this week alone, so I think that's why we're in such a good place.
I don't know if that had any.
It actually correlates perfectly.
Anyway, thanks for watching.
See my vibe.
If you found this video valuable, please like and comment. If you want to see other videos like this, or if you have more questions for us, we will address them. Yeah. Thanks. All right. Bye.
Yes, good job.